Good morning. It is so good to be here with you today. I am Audrey Scott Williams, the Spiritual Director of the Spiritual Enrichment Center. This is our time of just relaxing into this moment and just feel that sense of peace and love that is so much a part of what we call our lighthouse. And so as we are beaming that light out to each and every one of you here today, we just want you to remember the truth of who you are. As God is within us, moving through us, as us, and every time we move into that space of remembering who we are, we move into that space of divine love, divine possibility, divine opportunity, divine abundance. If you are visiting us for the very first time, please make sure you leave us a note in the comment section so that we can welcome you, and we'll look forward to seeing you here again in the future. And pass it on. If there's a message here that you feel is important and significant to you, that's touched you deeply, it will probably touch someone else deeply. I just want to make a couple of announcements for those of you who may be interested in some of the online classes that we are running here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center. They generally appear on Zoom, and you can get the connection to our courses by reading our SEC e-blast. Now, for those of you who are on our mailing list, it does come out every Tuesday. Make sure you check it out. And for those of you who are interested in getting on our e-blast, please just send us an email. The information is posted throughout the service. And also check our website, secdothan.org. But for right now, let me just quickly say that we do have a Course in Miracles every Sunday morning from 10 to 10:45. You're welcome to Zoom in with us and be a part of that. Also on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7:30, we have a course, Living a New Paradigm, and we're reading the Book of Joy. And it is really a book of joy. We are getting so much joy out of it as we are journeying with the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu through this book. Please join us, even though you may not have been there for other classes, but you find that you're being called to join us. Get the information from our e-blast or from our website and our Facebook page. And please join us Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. We do have a plant-based cooking class, and these classes happen on a Thursday evening, and the next one is August 27th at 6 p.m. It will come to you via Zoom. Again, it's in our e-blast. And every Friday, the last Friday of every month, we have a social gathering on Zoom, and that takes place from 7 to 8. Please join us. We have a lot of fun. We play games, we get to catch up with each other, have great discussions. So please join us on the last Friday of every month from 7 to 8 p.m. Again, I want to encourage everyone to please know that our Spiritual Enrichment Center e-blast is our basic mechanism that we have for making sure you know what's happening at the center. So please, 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 if you're not receiving the e-blast, please send us a note via our email address, which again is posted throughout the service, and let us know that you would like to be on the e-blast. We will put you on the e-blast and make sure you receive, on our mailing list, and make sure you receive the e-blast every Tuesday. Okay, with our announcement said, let us prepare to move forward into our service. And now I'd like for you to join me for our opening prayer. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Let's take a deep breath. We'll have our first musical selection now. It is by an artist known as Aja. And Aja wrote a song called Ever Changing Times. And this is a really good prelude into our subject matter today. So let us sit back and enjoy Sister Aja in Ever Changing Times.
Ever-changing times. You can feel it in the air. You can see it everywhere. You can run, you can hide what you're feeling deep inside. Time is now, don't you wait, or your soul will have to pay. Take your brother by the hand, you must make him understand. These are ever-changing times. These are ever-changing times. Do you realize these are ever-changing times? These are ever-changing times. Time to open up your mind. Take a chance, read the signs, reunite your heart and mind. Seek your truth, no more lies to reveal the disguise. No more darkness, only light. No separation in your life. Just let go, find a way to live in peace and love today. These are ever-changing times. These are ever-changing times. Do you realize these are ever-changing times? Open up your mind. These are ever-changing times. Time to open up your eyes. Ever-changing times. In this time, paradigm, revelation and divine. Ask the question in your mind. You just seek and ye shall find. Change will come for everyone. A new day under the sun. Don't let fear blind your way. Heaven's love is here to stay. 'Cause these are ever-changing times. These are ever-changing times. Do you realize these are ever-changing times? Open up your eyes. These are ever-changing times. Time to open up your mind. These are ever-changing times. These are ever-changing times. Do you realize these are ever-changing times? Open up your eyes. These are ever-changing times. Time to realize these are ever-changing times. Do you realize these are ever-changing times? Time to open up your eyes. These are ever-changing times. Open up your mind. These are ever-changing times. Time to open up your eyes.
Our message today is entitled Colorblind or Colorful. Colorblind or colorful. Now, those of you who have been listening to our services over the last few weeks, you know that I've been talking a lot, making a lot of references about a garden. And I've been saying in a very short version of what I've talked about, I've been saying that a garden, what makes a garden so special is its level of diversity. Now we can have a garden that has just one crop, but even then you've got the yellow, the green, the colors, the soil, you've got the sunshine. It takes all of that working together to produce or bear fruit. But in the gardens that I like, in my vegetable gardens, what I love is to walk down to my garden and I see my yellow squash, my green zucchini, my red tomatoes. I can open up my watermelon and it's this beautiful red inside. So all the colors that give it life, and not just colors, but textures and shapes, all of that diversity to me creates the absolute perfect expression of the divine. Now it's easy for us to see that in the garden. Well, what about God's garden, the divine garden, of which we are all a part? Regardless of our race, regardless of our size, where we've come from, what we look like, what our hair texture is, what color our eyes are, all the levels of diversity that we can think of, whether we're abled or challenged physically, whatever the case may be, it is that diversity in humanity that makes us so special. In fact, it's that diversity in humanity that provides us a vehicle for moving forward on our path to become more divine. Now, when I say to become more divine, let me clarify that. More divine in consciousness, consciously aware of our divinity. Because see, we're already divinely perfect. We're already absolute pure perfection. As emissaries of God, we are God's reflection right here in the here and now. All we have to do is believe it and know it and act in that, and so it is. But we have these moments when we forget the truth of who we are, when we forget our own divinity, and we are influenced by society. Whether it's social political influence, whether it is the influence from our family members, our cultural, whatever it may be that has us feeling like we have to listen to that. And when that pulls us away because I might not be the right color. I might not have the right color eyes. I may not have the right body shape. I may have been born from someplace else. There may be stereotypes that are attached to who I present myself to be just by physically showing up. So in that space, the garden then begins to kind of wilter, if you will. It doesn't look so divinely perfect. So what we want to talk about today is the divinely perfect aspect of that garden, both within and without. Now, we often hear people talk about we need to be colorblind. We don't need to see color. We need to see the heart of a person. We need to see that true expression. And I couldn't agree with that more. And I also know that it is being willing to see the color and see the God through all the colors that is the stronger representation for me of the divine flow. Ernest Holmes in his Beverly Hills lectures, we're New Thought, and Ernest Holmes is our foundation teacher in New Thought here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center and the Centers for Spiritual Living. And he says unity and uniformity are not the same thing. No two blades of grass are alike. What does it mean spiritually? What does that mean spiritually? It means that we have nothing to disprove and everything to prove that this individualization of the Spirit in each one of us, rooted in common soil, having the characteristics and potentiality of its common background, contains what the ancients call the microcosm. We have every reason to suppose that there is back and within and around every individual the divine representation of himself as the son or daughter of God, forever expanding. Forever expanding. That's the garden that we're talking about. So when I walk down to my garden and I see its diversity and I see the beauty of it, I don't mistake one item for another. I see the individuality of the zucchini. I see the individuality of the tomato or the greens. And then I see the commonality or the coming together of the garden to create a beautiful meal. So I am both what you see on the outside, and I am what you see and experience from the inside. I am one with this human family. I am one with the Creator. But oneness is not sameness. Nature shows us the diversified forms and expressions of the common life. Science admits the diversity and seeks to recognize the one great principle, the life that lies within all of us. The diversity lies in the expression in our human experience, in our human spheres, in our human interaction, in our very beingness. The sameness lies in the source, for all things are of God. So how do we translate this conversation into what we are experiencing in our society today, where so much emphasis is being placed on us as separate, not as one common beautiful garden? I know what it feels like, as I'm sure many of you do, to be identified for a particular part of myself without recognition for my own totality, my entire essence of who I am. I've had the experience of others expecting less of me because of my race, because of my background, because of where I've come from. And some have experienced it to a greater degree than I have. So what is it that we can speak to today that can help us to understand the true connection that we are through our diversity? In other words, not trying to find a true connection through our sameness, because the sameness that is in me is the sameness that is in all of us. There are certain basic things within all of us that are the same. We eat and breathe. We live and we die. We know that we are connected to some creator, at least here in the Spiritual Enrichment Center. We know at this lighthouse that we are created to the great, great, great story of the universe, not as something above, below, or outside of us, but as the God in each and every one of us. And that everything that is God is within us, and that is of God is of us. So we're rich. We're rich, and we know that. And as we work through our humanness, we are working to identify ways that we can learn more about each other's diversity so that we can be more inclusive, genuinely inclusive, so that we can learn from our own biases what prevents that from happening, what stops that. We want to learn here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center how to ask the uncomfortable questions and have the love and compassion in our hearts to not get upset, but to enter into honest dialogue that allows us to move forward. I'll give you an example. My heritage is both African American and Native American, and I live and breathe that heritage. I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm very proud of parents who taught me deeply, quite in depth, about both my African American, and my Native American history. So I grew up very comfortable with who I am and very proud of that expression. Now, I have encountered situations, when you're the first among 3 students in a city to integrate a school in the 60s and at a very young age, all of a sudden that great richness of my diversity I'm looked at in a very diminishing kind of way. I'm not accepted into the school. I'm not accepted into the hearts of the community of the school initially, because I am different, and my difference has been given a classification that I'm a threat. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And I grew up with that. So for me, learning about the garden here in the Spiritual Enrichment Center, having an opportunity to express and be who I am is very important, because I am learning about what is reflected to me from those that I see. And I am learning with compassion to be able to speak truth about this relationship. So when someone says to me, I remember when I worked at the college, and I was a dean at the college, and I was doing a public event, and I was speaking, and several people came up to me and said, "Oh, you're so articulate." And at first I was like, "Thank you very much." But when it continued to be said to me by white participants, because primarily there was a white audience, I started to think, I was like, well, why wouldn't I be articulate? I'm a dean of continuing education and community service at a college. I have had leadership positions most of my adult life. I went to several colleges. I was working on my PhD at the time. So why would I not be articulate? And, so for me, that felt as though there was an expectation that I would be less than. And the surprise was that I wasn't. For me, that was initially a hurtful situation. It was something that was one that put me in a position to feel like I have to constantly be proving myself. Now, for my white counterparts, it may have been the first time that they heard someone speak face to face that was of a different color, that was coming from a different cultural and heritage background. And for them, it may have been that opportunity for them to confront some of their own internal biases. I didn't realize that at the time, but I do now. So through the work that we're doing here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center, we get to have those kinds of conversations. And I want to encourage more of those conversations, because we don't have to be the same. The gift of who we are is in our diversity. And when you can accept me for who I am, I can accept you for who you are, then we can learn from one another. And at a time in our country where divisiveness is ripping us apart, this is a tremendous spiritual opportunity for us to grow into a deeper space of understanding that I am another you, you are another me. So we're connected with those who are all around us. There is no separation. So it's a common theme in our world today that if someone doesn't believe or think or even look like we do, they could not possibly be connected to us. We assume separation. People who disagree draw lines in the sand, and we're seeing that all over the place right now. And rather than hearing out the other's argument, are determined to hold their ground. If we are really interested in becoming this representation of oneness, we have to be able to take a circle, draw a big circle, and then create like a pie, just draw the lines, and realize that we not only are represented in one of those pie pieces, that in fact, we may find ourselves represented throughout that pie. So it's not just, the oneness isn't just the individual I. The oneness is the collective pie. So we need to be with other people who are different from us in order to experience more love, more unification, a stronger relationship with God, and love will push us in that direction if we allow it. Love will push us towards inclusion. And as we learn more about one another, we're not hindered by what we think is a scary difference, what we think is the boogeyman that's out to get us. Rather, we learn from each other the great gift of diversity that we have. So we shouldn't assume that we all think alike or have to think alike. We all have to believe alike. We have to pray and sing and dress and talk and behave alike. In fact, we are challenged to embrace our own diversity, to have an opportunity to talk, and we may not agree, and that's okay. But in the midst of that, we find not only our uniqueness, but we find our oneness. And so because we are seeking a more inclusive and diverse and authentic way of being together, of being that reflection of the divine, we get to glimpse into oneness when we let those things go to the point where we can embrace each other, where we can authentically be who we are and embrace the world around us, embracing all the gifts of diversity. We are the universal presence as an individual, as well as the collective. What level of consciousness are you holding? What happens when you walk into a room and everybody in that room looks different than you are? Are you comfortable? Are you going to leave? Are you going to stay? And what happens when you do stay? Through that discomfort, do you not learn more about what the commonalities are and get greater clarity on what different opinions people are holding or different ideas that they're holding that now you have an opportunity to expose? You have an opportunity to address. You have an opportunity through your own love and compassion to create a world where everyone feels that they can be a part, not in spite of who you are, but literally because of who you are. See, I get to show up as every bit of who I am, every bit of who I was, what the blood that runs through my veins, every bit of all of the life experiences that I have. And I don't trade that off to fit in. I get to bring it into the group with so much love and so much joy and so much celebration of who I am that it becomes contagious and others want to be a part of that. My history, my culture, what I've done, what my parents have done, what my ancestors have gifted me is what I get to gift back to the world. But if I'm seeing you as something that I don't want to be a part of, if I'm seeing you just because of your color, that I can't be connected with you, that you might be an endangerment to me, if I see you as my enemy, then I miss an opportunity to walk in the garden. I miss an opportunity to strengthen this human story. I miss an opportunity to see you as another me, to see the true gift of diversity that you bring to the world. I don't want to miss that gift right now. And I'm not going to lie to you and say that I know all the ways that we can make all this work. This is a journey. It's a spiritual quest that we're on now. And this quest is amplifying. Now, we have a choice to stay locked in our separateness or to unlock that door and begin to come together as a human family to address issues that are plaguing our societies, our world, and especially our nations and our communities. We're not going to get there by calling each other's names. We're not going to get there by making someone else evil and lifting us up in so much piety. We're not going to get there by pretending that the world is only for me and this is where I need to operate. I don't know about you, but I look out on the world today in 2020, and I think about how we called forward a year of clear vision coming forward. I remember being excited as we shifted from 2019 into 2020. Oh, this is going to be a year when we get to see clearly. Well, guess what, folks? Everything that has been happening since January, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's the racism that's being expressed so explicitly, whether it's lack of leadership in our political world, and I'm not just talking about one aspect of politics, I'm talking about all factions of politics, all factions of those that claim to be leaders in our country right now, that we have an opportunity to step up into those roles with genuine heart, with integrity, with purpose, with wisdom, with love, and make decisions that we must make for a world that works for all, for a nation that works for all, for a state that works for all. We have an opportunity with this clear vision about what's not working to delve even deeper into what could work. What are the pieces that are working? What are the pieces that are not working because of the decisions that we're making? And how do we make better decisions? But in order to do that, you have to be embracive of our human family. You have to be conscious that God has planted a garden, and we are all a part of that garden. And our garden can either rise and be beautiful and nourish this world, or our garden can wilt and go away, die off. Well, you see, there's something unique about this. For me, I don't plan on just simply wilting away. I plan on garnering all the love within me and walking within that to everyone I see. And if you ever see me and I don't see you, make sure that I do. And I make the same promise to you, that we're going to rise, but we're going to rise together. And we're going to make Alabama a wonderful place to live. We're going to do it together, and we're going to make this nation be the nation that it could be, that it can be, that many of us have bought into the dream. Well, we don't want to just dream. We want to make this dream a reality. It's time to bring that back, to bring the passion back into our lives, to be true expressions of the divine, for us to be able to walk in the truth of who we are, not buying into the ideas about separation and being less than or not being worthy, so much so that we don't think the abundance of the universe is available to us, so much so that we don't think love is available to us, so much so that we don't think the best job and the best everything is available to us. It is who we are. It is who we are, and we are it together in recognition of our diversity. Unity without verity is no better than conspiracy. And that was quote by John Trapp. We are this universal presence as a person. We are a point where it recognizes itself as person. We are this universal presence as a person. I'm going to say that one more time. We are the universal presence as a person. We are a point where it recognizes itself as person. We are its personality in individualism. That comes from Lessons in Spiritual Mind Healing by Ernest Holmes. Let's think about that for a minute. Unity without verity is no better than conspiracy, a quote by John Trapp. Meaning that if all of us look just alike, and we consider that to be it, then we are conspiring we have drawn a circle around us and we've shut out the whole world. We've shut out the divine reflections of ourselves that may look just a little different, but that's God expressing also. We're better off to just erase the lines around us, open our circles up to each other. Because that then is not conspiracy. That then is moving towards the truth of who we are. And we are this universal presence. That means we are the divine as a person. We are a point where it recognizes itself as a person. We are a point where God can recognize God as a person. It's all about consciousness. What consciousness are we holding right now? The nature of God's greatest creation is one of diversity. So say our affirmation with me. The nature of God's greatest creation is one of diversity. I am not colorblind. I see the colorful, wonderful, mystical variances that are expressed uniquely as each one of us. I see you. Say that with me. I see you. And every time I walk, every time I go out, every time I am around others, I say in myself, in my own mind, I see you. I see the God in you. And that's just something I play out in my head when I look at people, when I say hello, when I hug, and when I embrace. Of course, we're not doing that right now. But when I see people, that's what I'm holding in my head. I see you. I see the God in you. So as you go forward this week, be conscious of what lines you're drawing around yourself that keeps others out. Challenge yourself to erase those lines just a bit and have a conversation with someone you might not have had a conversation with before, and find out what you might learn. Find out what some of the possibilities are. And if someone doesn't greet you exactly the way you want to be greeted, instead of getting angry, send love. Because sometimes the lines that we draw to keep people out hurt people. And hurt people hurt people. And so we want to break that chain, because we know that if we are emanations of God, then it is in us to heal this world, to heal our families, our communities, to make this world a better place. Now we're going to hear our second musical selection. This is a song that was written in collaboration with some of our musicians here at the Spiritual Enrichment Center, and it's entitled, Let Your Light Shine.
Let your light shine.
Come on, people, join us and sing. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Come on, people, join us and sing. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
We are the lighthouse where love shines so bright. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
We are the lighthouse where light shines so bright. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Here you will find love and peace of mind. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Here you will find love and peace of mind. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.
Well, now is the time in our service where we have an opportunity to circulate our good through the spiritual practice of giving. So I invite you to either make a tithe or offer a financial donation to the Spiritual Enrichment Center. And all of the information that you need to be able to do that is now printed on the screen in front of you. Freely I give with an attitude of abundance. For I know just as I give joyfully, I will receive abundantly, for the law of circulation is active in my life right now. We appreciate you, we love you, we thank you for your offerings that help us to continue to bring our messages and sustain our operations, if you will, as we go forward. We are truly blessed by your giving. Thank you. It is now time for our prayer of protection. Please join me in saying, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And repeat after me, something wonderful is happening in my life right now. I believe it, I know it, I feel it, and I allow it. And so it is. Thank you, God. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here next Sunday at 11. Thank you for joining the Spiritual Enrichment Center here in Dothan on our online service today.
Let your light shine.
Come on, people, join us and sing. Let your light shine.
Let your light shine.